We're going to make some beef stew in this Instant Pot. It's a electric programmable pressure cooker. I just love the thing. I've had it for 2 years maybe, I think. And so it's got this stainless steel pot that goes in there. And I make stew a lot with it for my lunches for work. One of these, I can get 4 or 5 days lunches for work out of it. So what's going in there? I like to do heavy on the root vegetables. I'm going to put a whole lot of carrots in there. This is a kohlrabi, so the carrots I'll peel and chop. Kohlrabi I'll peel and chop. That's a member of the cabbage family. It's a root vegetable, but it'll give it some cabbagey flavor. I put a little bit of potato in. I don't like to go too heavy on potato because it's not the healthiest vegetable. Like, it's relatively devoid of nutrition. I normally have turnip and parsnip in there, but I went to the farmer's market and they're not quite in season yet, and I didn't feel like going to the grocery store for them. Two onions, and I'll use a good part of that green. I'll chop some of the manky stuff off of there. I'm going to put a whole bunch of string beans in there. This is probably more than I will use. I got these at the farmer's market, but you just chop off both ends and then cut them up. Those go really well in there too. Garlic scapes are from about a month ago from my local farmer. I picked them up. They keep well in the fridge. I'm just going to chop those up real fine and throw them in there, add some garlicky flavor. Spices and herbs. I've got about 3/4 of a teaspoon of freshly ground pepper. I just ground it in my pestle and mortar. 1.5 teaspoon of salt. And I got 2 tablespoons of this stuff. I've been on a kick with this stuff lately since my wife picked it up. I've been really enjoying it. You see me talk about it in my other videos. Normally what I do in this stew is I would put 2 tablespoons of freshly ground rosemary. That's what I really love. I really love rosemary. Put whatever herbs and spices you want. And then I've got a cup of red wine here, just cheap red wine, screw top. A cup of red wine is going in there. And then we'll fill it the rest of the way with water. Instead of red wine, what I often use, you can use a combination of different things too. Red wine vinegar, about 1/3 of a cup of that. Worcestershire sauce works really well. Soy sauce works really well. Cider vinegar, malt vinegar. I can even use some vinegar and some apple juice, works really well. All kinds. Today I'm just going 100% red wine, 1 full cup. You can use a combination of all those things. You don't want to go too heavy on the vinegar, like 1/3 to 1/2 cup of vinegar, and then something else to balance it out some, like vinegar and apple juice, for example. So I'm going to prepare all this stuff, load that up, and we'll see how it goes. Oh yeah, something I forgot to mention. This is actually designed by a local guy here in Ottawa. I bought it directly from him. Really nice guy. He loves to chat about food. The newer version has a yogurt maker function, and he's trying to add a sous vide function to the one after that as well. You can buy them online, Amazon, and lots of other places too. Really great. They're made in China, but they're designed here in Ottawa, and the fellow that owns the company is a super nice guy. So the question might be, how much of everything? I didn't give you any quantities. So really, what I do is I just go by what I want most. I wanted all of those carrots in there. You already heard me disparaging potatoes, so those will be the last thing that go in. I got one of the onions in. I'm going to do the kohlrabi now. The other onion, I'll put a bunch of the green beans and the celery. I got to get the beef in there, of course. You just do it a bit at a time, and you put one onion in and you add all your other stuff to get a good mixture, and then if you have room for another onion and you like onions, then throw it in. That's the way I do it. So you're not necessarily going to use all of this stuff that you have here. You just go along and you add your favorite things first, and make sure you get the ones that you like most, and add the other stuff as there is room for it. And there's my beef. It's from a local butcher. They source it all from local farmers. Normally I use stewing beef, but I just happen to have a bunch of ground beef on hand. I've got 3 bags of those. I'll use at least 2 of them. I'll weigh them out and see. I want about 1,500 grams of about 1.5 pounds of beef, or about 750 grams is what I'm going to add. Now I just crumble up, when I do ground, I just crumble it up and put it in there. I know that if you fry that up first in a frying pan, it gives you the Maillard reactions, and that caramelization and browning puts flavors in here that you might like. I just want to make a quick beef stew, honestly. I've done it both ways. Yeah, it definitely tastes well, I wouldn't even say it tastes better. It has a slightly different flavor when you do it that way. If you want to spend the extra time and do it, go for it. I don't want to spend the extra time when I'm doing it right now. I might as well toss my herbs in at this point, my herbs and spices. Get those in there, and what the heck, while I'm thinking of it on the camera, I'll put the wine on there, and you can see I'm running out of space, and I still have a lot of stuff left here. So I got some of the kohlrabi in there, some of it not. Got to get those garlic scapes in there, the other onion, the kohlrabi, the celery, and one of the potatoes, and then we'll get a few of those beans in maybe, we'll see. Now you see here there's a max fill line. What I've found with this is you can fill it with veg a little bit higher as long as your liquid stays below the max line. You can figure it out on your own. I'm not saying that's necessarily safe. I'm saying that's what I do, and I've found it to be okay. Garlic scapes are like wood, especially if they've been sitting around for a month like mine have. So I'm putting them in the mini chopper, and I just added a little wee bit of maple syrup just on a whim to help them puree in there. They won't puree, but at least I can get them chopped up a lot smaller, and then they'll be softened up in the pressure cooker. That's a great thing about a pressure cooker for something as woody as garlic scape. Alright, so we're filled up. I didn't have my water yet. Let's survey what's left. I didn't actually end up putting any green beans in at all. One stalk of celery left, 2 potatoes. Other than that, everything else is in there. So that's what I ended up with. Now we're going to fill this up. We keep our eye on that max mark over there. Probably going to need a little bit more water than that. I'll run and get some. There's something I just thought of while I was going for the water there, is that next time what I might try is using V8 for the liquid, or at least half of the liquid in here. I love V8. I drink it every morning, and I think it would actually make a pretty interesting stew, so I'm going to try that. You can see I need a little bit more water. I don't even want to come right up to that max mark, or it'll be a little bit too thin. Alright, so that's what we got. I meant to point out to you as well, there's what the garlic scapes look like when they're all chopped up, and they'll soften up really nicely. So we just put our lid on here, and I want to go manual, and I do 31 minutes on manual, and that'll just start itself. There's nothing else to push. It will beep there in a few seconds. There you go. Now it's going to come up to pressure. You got to make sure this thing is pointing in the right direction. It'll come up to pressure, and once it's up to pressure, it'll start the timer doing 31 minutes. Alright, the timer's going. You got 28 minutes left there on my 31. I choose 31 because everybody knows that prime numbers cook better. Just wanted to say a word why I love this thing so much. You set it and forget it. I can just leave it alone, and when that's done, it will allow the pressure to come down, and then it automatically keeps it hot, so it will you don't got to worry about getting to it at the right time or whatever. I can come back anytime today, and that's going to be nice and hot inside there. But I'll show you what I do when I package it up for my lunches when that time comes. It's going to be a couple hours from now. It smells pretty awesome in here. You can see 52 minutes here. That means it's been 52 minutes since it stopped the program. It took about a half an hour to come down to pressure, or to depressurize. You couldn't open it, and I still haven't opened it yet. When you start smelling the awesome smells, then you know that this pin is dropped down. It doesn't really vent out very much smell until that drops down, and once you smell it, you know that the pressure is down far enough that you could open it if you wanted to. So let's have a look here. That really smells fantastic. And it has to have a good stir because it's kind of still in there in layers. Once it fills up, once it fills up, you can't stir it very well, obviously. So I'm going to have to give this a good stir, and then I'll start dishing it out. Man, does that smell good. Alright, I've given it a good stir. It stirs actually better with a narrower spoon, like a wooden spoon, rather than this guy here. It's all stirred up. I took a little bit out for a taste test, and I got 2 of my containers here. Normally it fills 4 of these really well, and that makes a really good sized meal for my work lunches. So it's not brain surgery from this point in time. You just got to carefully fill up those containers down there without spilling anything, and you want to try to evenly distribute the contents. I'll fill them up. Alright, I got 2 of them filled up. These are glass containers. I got them at Costco. I really like them. They have the fold down sides here that clip on. And that's, once the 4 sides are clipped, that's watertight, so I can throw one of these in my backpack, take it to work, and I don't have to worry about it leaking. Now let's give this a taste. This just smells incredible, and I'm going to see what the taste test is like. There's a little piece of kohlrabi, some carrot and onion. Yep, that is very good. Very, very good. A little bit different than the stews I normally make with the different spices in there. That's the first time I've used kohlrabi. But it's very, very good. Every time it's a little bit different. Keep good notes, and you're always going to make something that's really yummy. Oh yeah, and you may have noticed it's not especially thick. I just don't bother doing the things to thicken it. Like for example, if you're using stewing beef, you can dust your beef in flour first before you put it in here, and that will do quite a bit to thicken it. That's why I put a few potatoes in. Potatoes do a bit of thickening, but really you'd want to get some kind of flour or dust them in cornstarch if you really want to thicken it.